Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. Tonight, it's January 20th. It's a Thursday evening here. We're joined by the great John Heffernan and Drake Sanford. We're going to be talking, I'm sure we'll kind of get some Bucks talk, we'll get some Cavs talk, and we'll just kind of do a sweep around the Eastern and the Western conferences. If you guys have questions, fire them up in the chat. We'll get to those as well. But this is a fantasy show. We're just going to hang out and do as much as we can. But welcome to the show, Drake. How we doing tonight?
I just want everyone to, see the pants.
Uh-oh.
I can tell you how I'm doing today. I'm doing great, guys.
Oh, man. It's always a good night when we got the Cavs pants on. And, John, do you have a Bucks pants? Do you have anything? Can you top? You got a Bucks hat on. Can you top the – how are we doing tonight, John?
I'm doing great. And you got to keep it close to the brain. I always have Bucks on my mind, I like to say right now. So, Drake might have it on his pants, but I have it on my mind.
You know where the Cavs are on my
well, this two versions of fandom, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, we'll let that one be. But I'm just happy. It's I think last Tuesday we went live, so we're gonna again try to continue to do Tuesday nights or Thursday night lives. I don't really know if that much has changed in the NFL or the NBA landscape. I just think it feels like we're kind of getting out of the Omicron stuff, which is good for there's less guys that are on IR or O for them, for how long. So it looks like we're starting to get through that. But I just wanted to throw it to John. What games have we watched since we've seen you last?
I've seen some Bucks games, and I haven't seen too much else. But one thing that I've noticed is there's a lot of injuries, especially I think they're across the league right now, but especially at the top of the East. I think you have Durant out for the Nets. The Bulls have lost what I think is a large number of players.
And Lonzo, yeah.
Lonzo's had surgery.
Yeah.
He's out for a while.
Let's pop over to the Bulls.
The Heat have not been healthy this year. They have not had a full rotation.
And they've been playing really. The Heat have been overachieving significantly with who's been on the court for them.
Yeah.
Here's the Lonzo Ball blurb. He will undergo procedure in his left meniscus this week, and is expected to be sidelined for 4 to 6 weeks. So that's a huge. It's probably on the the 6 to 7 side of that. So that's a huge loss. And again, the Bulls somehow just treading water up here, and they are basically tied for first in the East. So we'll see what happens there. But John, did you want to talk more about the Heat and how are they getting this done? I think Adebayo just got back to the lineup. Let's take a peek and see what their numbers look like.
Their wings. They have so many wings that are contributing way above their pay grade. I think Strus, Martin, Vincent, all three of them come to mind. Mm-hmm. They're all kind of players I knew about, but not really. And now they're probably fixtures in some fantasy lineups, even 10-team leagues for points this season.
And I'm just trying to see what's up with Kyle Lowry. So
he's got a Martin last year.
He's got a personal thing.
Is he a Spurs guy?
Who?
There's a twin, right? There's a twin, right?
Am I thinking
of
the twin?
Yes, yeah. Caleb and it might be Cody, but
I'm thinking of Cody.
I think that's right.
I'm thinking of Cody. Yep. Yeah.
And I think the other Martin is in Charlotte right now.
I mean, this is looking roster in a 10-man league. This is fringe rosterable, so he's got to keep these minutes up. But he's been scoring the ball as a scorer for them. Tyler Hero, what's up with Tyler Hero?
He has COVID.
He just got placed in the COVID protocols on the 19th, which was yesterday. So that's going to probably open. I guess Jimmy Butler, Max Strus might be a guy that continues to get. I mean, he had 32 minutes the other night, so this is an interesting. Talk about a player that's getting a ton of minutes, a pretty good scorer. He's going to chip in assists and rebounds. This is probably the guy that's going to benefit the most from Tyler Hero being out of there.
Strus and Vincent, yeah.
Let's take a peek at Vincent. Wow. 7 assists, 11 points, 3 steals, 1 block. This is kind of a jack of all trades player. He's going to score and he's going to do a little bit of everything. So 2 really nice games back to back here. And he was playing well. Yeah, he was playing really well around Christmas time here too. You look at the minutes from 31 to 35 minutes per game, and this guy's gonna fill it up. Wow, okay. So I'm sure we'll meet you guys in the waiver wires after this show. But
Can you check on Oladipo? What's the status on him?
We'll go to him in a second.
News. Last time we checked, there was no news, and I bet there's still no news.
I just wanted to shout out Omer Yurtseven. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but man, I think they're doing him wrong because he filled in admirably for Bam Adebayo when he was gone. Like, these numbers are insane. I mean, you're talking massive double-double almost every night.
Wow.
And
what's first-round pick numbers?
Adebayo comes back and he's not even getting a minute, which is a little bizarre to me. So this is definitely a guy that if he starts getting minutes, I want to. And I guess if Adebayo's been pretty injury prone most of his career, so if anything happens, that's the guy you want to call up. But let's take a peek here at Oladipo, and looks like no news is the news. So
my guess is Oladipo doesn't play this season.
Playoffs, maybe.
That's coming pretty quick, and there's literally no news.
Well, there's probably going to be some kind of update that says he will be evaluated in 2 weeks or something like that. Probably be the next step. So like they're going to announce when he's going to be evaluated, I guess.
It's just crazy to me. He's so off their radar that they wouldn't even post something.
What's your guys' outlook on this Heat team?
They're dangerous.
They're resilient too. Like we mentioned, someone steps up, no matter who it is, whether it's Adebayo, whether it's Jimmy Butler for a while or Hero. It always seems like they can plug in, and then they're just fine. So they're gonna be.
Spoelstra's got to be up for Coach of the Year, right?
If he keeps it up, I would say
he's my vote. Yeah.
Well, JB is obviously going to be Coach of the Year, but just brought that up.
Yeah, but 29 and 6. I guess they'd have to continue to finish as a top 2, top 3 seed. So we'll see if they can maintain this. But it's looking good for the Heat. Any other Eastern teams we wanted to touch on? I guess my original question, John, was what teams have you seen play? So the Bucks have had a few games in that span. Was there any teams that stuck out to
the
you?
Bucks and the teams that played the Bucks. So I saw some Hornets. I saw some Nets. I don't know. I don't think I've seen. Of course, I'm watching some Pistons highlights still.
Did you watch the Grizzlies game?
No,
you didn't.
No, I did not. There's other things going on, and I thought some highlights of it, but certainly monitored it a little bit because all my fantasy guys in there. But
what about you, Drake? What besides local Bucks streams, have you been able to catch any games the last week or so?
I've caught 3 Cavs games in the last week.
All right, what do we got?
I mean, let's bring them up.
Well, I was gonna our friend, mutual friend Jesse was at the game last night, and I looked at the box score, and it looked like Markkanen went off and led the team. It was still a loss, but they have been. It seems like they're kind of a resilient bunch themselves. They keep finding ways to get better. We were looking at the Garland numbers before we went live here, and I just want to show these numbers because these assist numbers are fantastic. Wow. And I mean, you're gonna factor in at least 20 some points, per game here scoring, and then he's got the upside of a 10. Like, he had a triple double not too long ago against one of the best defensive teams in Utah. I think that's spectacular. So I'm excited for some of these numbers here. Any thoughts, Drake, on what you've seen from Garland over these last 3 games?
Well, as you guys know, I've been sending you screenshots of scores when they win only.
Mm-hmm.
And so Garland's been kind of the consistent guy here. Mobley's also been pretty consistent, and Allen, but it seems like between Allen, Markkanen, and Mobley, one of them goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the others kind of have just an average night. But Garland's been super consistent this season, mostly this stretch, like you were saying, Kyle, starting the new year. If you look before Christmas even, he was putting up numbers. This team's still kind of missing that 2 guard right now.
Yep.
They're trying to use Okoro in that. He's more comfortable at the 3. He's more of a defensive-minded guy. Lamar Stevens actually filled in to the 2 pretty well. They've listed it as a power forward in this, but he was playing the 2 before Okoro.
We love Stevens right now. He's been playing great.
Yeah, once he comes back healthy, they'll have a nice lineup. It's going to be hard. They need another guard. So I don't know. I think we're one of those teams that's probably going to make a move.
What can you tell me about this Brandon Goodwin? He actually looks kind of productive. He's not flashy, but in 11, 12 minutes per game,
productive.
Yeah, he's been very good with these short minutes.
And he's been playing a lot more with Stevens out too.
Okay.
Kevin Love, he's kind of gets his minutes. Chetty.
I'm surprised you haven't picked him up yet. He's out there.
It's crazy with this 10 league team. It's really hard for me to drop a player.
Yeah.
And it's hard to choose sometimes, like on a Saturday, who to start.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have everyone going. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to make the wrong call regardless. But they're a pretty fun team. I expect them to make a move. I'm hoping the move isn't Karis LeVert, which has been rumored. But
what kind of assets are the Cavs able to give in your opinion? The majority is picks. Okay.
Yeah.
How many? You got two first.
I mean, if they were swinging for the fences, you dangle Sexton.
Okay. Interesting.
But from what I've heard, Sexton was brought up in talks for Simmons. But the Sixers also, the Sixers want to try to win this year. So
right.
That's kind of tough. I mean, they can move any of these young players. They have plenty of young players. But I think your core is those main four. You got
Garland, at the top here.
Mobley, Allen, Markkanen. They seem to really like Okoro, but if if it came down to it, I think they would move him. So
okay, that makes sense.
At least that's what I do in 2K. So that's probably what they would do.
So they are in their last 10 games. They are 7-3. So they're playing some of their best ball. It seems like they have. They're starting to figure themselves out and get settled in here right into this kind of 5-6 area. But really, they're 2 games out of first place for the East. We're looking at a huge stack up of teams
with a KD less Nets and a halftime Kyrie.
And Philly's kind of whatever. The Bucks are kind of idle.
Cavs beat Kyrie and Harden.
An injured Bulls team.
Yeah.
Yep. And then who knows with the Heat? So it's wide
open.
The Cavs have top of the East.
Home games now. They have 3 home games upcoming. Mm-hmm. So they're on the road for quite a bit now. Honestly, when this core is together, they've been playing good. We saw that at the beginning of the season when these guys are healthy and playing. They just had COVID for 3 weeks there that everyone was getting.
I'm looking at some of the teams here at the bottom of the East, and you have 3 teams that made the playoffs last year: the Knicks, the Hawks, and the Pacers, all outside of the play-in.
What's going on with the Hawks?
John, do you know anything about this situation?
I think the Hawks will figure it out. I think the Hawks will probably make the playoffs when it's all said and done, and the Wizards and Raptors I expect to miss by the end of the season. So I think the Hawks will figure it out. I think I've seen a little bit of Trey and what they're doing over there. I think they have a really good mix. They're relatively healthy if they can avoid COVID going forward, and once they get Capella back, it's hard. It looks like in the NBA today, it feels like a lot of times, anytime you lose, if you have a really good center, you lose that player. You can't find a replacement level player for that guy. So they just have nothing. They're playing Okongwu instead of Capella, and Okongwu is awesome, but he's 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", maybe. I don't know. He's small though, so they need Capella back, and because there's a small team to begin with.
So he's at least questionable now. So he had a sprained ankle that's kept him out. So he's got a chance to maybe play tomorrow or this weekend. But we had the big trade last week. Cam Reddish is out, and this is a guy that popped up on my waiver wire show on Tuesday night. And I'm out of pickup, so I can't pick him up. But if you are in a league and DeAndre Hunter is available, starting to put it together here. 5-game sample size here, a low of 17.75, but you see 3 games over 30 points, a 22.25, probably going to settle somewhere in that 25 fantasy points per game. And then you look at the actual fantasy, besides the fantasy, you look at the real numbers. 3 games of over 20 points. The rebounding is kind of all over the place. You're going to expect maybe 1 or 2 assists per game, but I like the blocks number Just a player that's going to get points and chip in elsewhere. I think this is the guy that's going to probably be the biggest winner with Cam Reddish out of town. Any other thoughts or any Drake?
I think I wonder, like, once Bogey comes back, I think it will be really interesting to see what the final hierarchy on that roster is. Because even after getting rid of Reddish, they still have too many wings. It's crazy. They have so many damn wings. But once Bogey comes back, the mix between Hunter, Bogey, and Herter for the two wing spots will be really interesting. Or do you play all three of them at once with Trey and Capella? But of course, you need to get John Collins in the game. So they almost have too many good players, but they all kind of, besides Trey Young and Clint Capella, they all kind of do the same thing. So it's an interesting roster. I think it will be. Like I say though, I think they'll come back. I think they'll make the playoffs. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and I don't think they got any worse. So I think they should absolutely make the playoffs.
Definitely a team that I want to keep tabs on as we get closer to.
I think that playoffs. The Cam Reddish trade, we kind of talked about it, but it was like John was saying, it was necessary because not only do they have too many good players, but they also have to pay a lot of these guys coming up. Mm-hmm. They're all young, so I expect this team probably to make another move because they're still too loaded with young, guys that all kind of do the same thing, and they're gonna have to pay those guys.
If they can maybe cash in a two for one player deal or something. But I did want to talk
up to. He's on that team, and we were talking about wings. So.
Oh man, is he even getting minutes? I did want to talk about the team that traded for Cam Reddish. Lou's getting some time here. It says about 14 minutes per game.
That's about what he can handle playing hungover, so that's fine.
Yeah, he's doing good. But I did want to talk about the Knicks because I did start to notice some ripple effects. With Cam Reddish actually hasn't even played for them. He's been out, I think, with the COVID issue. He's got an ankle injury that he's out for a while. So he hasn't even played for these guys. But the return of Kemba Walker, I think Kemba Walker, a lot of people left him for dead. He was getting cut. He was available on a lot of waiver wires. So he's coming back. He's played one game, and some of the ripple effects for this were Alec Burks got pushed out of the rotation a little bit here, down from, he was averaging mid 30 minutes per game, then to 26 to 17. So he's taking a hit here, but Evan Fournier remains playing. I'm just trying to think of any other. John, have you seen the Knicks play of late here? Any thoughts on the Knicks?
I have seen a little bit, but I have not seen them with Kemba Walker. It feels like 2 years. Kemba is. I can't believe our league let him sit on the waiver wire to be snatched up by Dalton. That was that's ignorance at best from 9 human beings in what I think is a relatively competitive basketball league. But I think he sucked earlier this year. I hope he can come back. That I loved what I saw from him on January 18th, and I hope we see more because he is kind of the engine that's going to drive that team with Randall. And Randall's already doing so much, so it's really. He's just really the missing piece over there.
And then, again, we kind of got into this topic by looking at the teams here that are just outside the play-in tournament. The Knicks and the Hawks are going to be good TV, I think, especially once Reddish gets into the rotation. And like we said, the Hawks get a little bit healthier with their team. So those are 2 teams to watch. Check your waiver wires for them. But I want to throw it to Drake, man. Let's pick a team here. Western Conference team. Let's try to pick a team that we haven't really looked into and just check in on them and see what they're doing for fantasy.
Can we look into the Grizz? You know what? Let's look into the Dallas Mavericks.
There we go.
Went on a nice win streak.
So I noticed you went and picked up a guy that has been bounced back and forth between us a handful of times this year. So I'm sure we'll talk about him in a sec. But it's our man DFS over here. He's been very friendly to us. So just here we go. I'm filtering by the last 7 days. I'm going to tap minutes and see who's been getting the rotation here. Luka, Jalen Brunson. He might be one of the best backup. This guy's a starter on almost any other team, but he just so happens to be split with Luka. And this guy, maybe one of the waiver wire pickups of the year. I'm kind of thinking of him
Are they playing? Are they look at those minutes? Is he starting with Luka?
Let's see here.
He's usually a starter. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's usually a starter
starting with Luka.
So who did he bump? I'm trying to remember who was on the
Probably
team.
Hardaway.
Hardaway's been 6-man for a while over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm curious. Someone got bumped.
Not. I don't know. I'm sure Hardaway starts all the time because injuries and shit.
I'm trying to think of who this is.
Yeah, he starts over Hardaway.
It feels like they're missing somebody here.
I mean, they paid Hardaway a bunch of money.
They're definitely missing somebody.
Let me see the injuries tab here. Sterling Brown. But anyways, I mean, he's one of the best players that you could have picked up for free at the beginning of the season, and he's still only 66% rostered. So if you play in a wider league, check your waiver wires. But Drake went and snagged. This guy's got he gets the third most minutes on this team, and it's not a sexy pickup. He averages about 23 points per game. But I had to let him go just because I had to make some moves and get some people off the waiver or the IR. But this is a player that you can count on for at least a ton of minutes. And if you play in category leagues, he's going to touch a little bit of everything. So I like the athleticism. He's also fun to watch. I don't know if you ever watch a Dallas game, but he's good for at least one or two, high action plays. So he's fun to watch. But I don't know. Any thoughts here on Dallas, Drake? You're the one that called him out. What do you see here?
I just wanted to, kind of see what the last week is because I kind of get zoned in. We still have football going on. And then all of a sudden I get an alert that Luka went off and holy crap, this team's figuring it out finally. Luka and Porzingis are playing better together. Everyone's kind of like bought in. And this is a dangerous team.
9-1 on a 4-game win streak right now. It's crazy. I mean, let's just take a second to appreciate the Suns and the Warriors, because I mean, 26-19. That would be pretty much up here with some of these guys in the East, but it just so happens to be that they're so far behind the West. So anything else, I guess, for fantasy, there's only a handful of guys at the top of the list. It starts to get good old Hank here rostering Tim Hardaway. That's kind of it's like a 4-man roster for fantasy. Everything else kind of crumbles away after that.
That's
John.
Hank.
That's Hank for you. Any thoughts here, John, on what we're seeing, or have you been able to catch Luka in the Mavs in any game lately?
Not lately, but I'm a big supporter of DFS as well. I don't think I've owned him much this season, if at all, but definitely owned him a shitload last year. Rode him pretty heavily, and that's why I assume he's always a starter because he was getting 35 plus minutes a game last year. So I think he comes off the bench a lot, but it doesn't matter whether he starts or not. He is going to get his time on the court. So he's solid.
I'm just thinking about the teams that we just kind of talked about, the Atlanta Hawks. Could the Mavs use one of these wing players here, even if it's like a sixth man? Like they don't. To me, the Mavs don't really have the depth that's needed to be a sustained championship threat. But if you go out and say you went out and got Bogdanovich from the Hawks, or you get someone that can play 25 minutes per game, I think that would be something that helps their bench out. Any fits from Atlanta or any other players that you think
I could see the Mavs making a trade. I don't know how it lines up with Atlanta and all that, what they can give.
Right.
I can see them dangling Josh Green to one of the bottom feeders.
Okay.
Like put Josh Green in Oklahoma City.
Interesting.
Or maybe Mavs might have to overpay. Maybe they end up with Gallinari.
He's had some bright moments. Yeah. Gallinari would make sense for veteran presence
really well in this team.
Gallinari would fit decently well. Yeah, I think the Hawks need Gallinari more though because
they do.
He's like literally he plays a lot of center for them.
Yeah, he plays a lot of
the Hawks roster, and we can.
I think Brunson is a really fascinating trade chip on the Mavericks.
If you dangle Brunson out there, can you get Collins or Hunter? Probably not Collins. They just paid him. They want him.
Could you get Hunter? Yes, I think you could absolutely get Hunter for Jalen Brunson, 100%. I don't necessarily know if I like it for either side.
No, I think Hunter or Brunson's in a perfect situation. Luka's not a point guard.
Well, Hunter's in a good situation if he gets his minutes. That's what's always been the problem. There's too many guys there.
Interesting.
Yeah, they could dangle like Moses Brown and.
I was gonna say,
Josh
wasn't
Green.
Moses Brown was like a waiver wire darling at the end of the fantasy.
He's been
playoffs
done
last year.
dirty this year.
He was solid
Yeah,
last year.
Just cast aside there.
I mean,
in Dallas.
I check on him
Atlanta.
once in a while, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Weekly, probably. I look at Moses Brown, seeing if someone is giving him a chance, but
I absolutely have Moses Brown top shots. So.
yes.
Excellent. But we're what, like 2 weeks away from NBA trade deadline, so I think we're probably going to start getting more excited.
Probably 3, isn't it?
I think it was the second week of
late
February.
Yeah, we're like 2 or 3 weeks away. Yeah, you guys, look at you guys. You're perfect on the range, man. You locked real NBA
Thursday,
right here.
So 20 days away. We'll get into it. But since I threw it
2 to 3 weeks, we fucking nailed it, Kyle.
So I threw it to Drake to pick a team. Let's just analyze them from fantasy. John, did you want to go Western or Eastern? You want to throw up a team and see what we got?
How about do we do the Spurs too much, Kyle? If not, let's do the Spurs because it's a fun subject.
They're 17 and 28. What's fun?
They have a top 5 fantasy.
We're going to talk about
across
Deontay
the
Murray
season on the roster.
Just go.
I don't know.
Just do it, Kyle. I want to hear about Deontay Murray.
Was this influenced by the thumbnail for today's video? I don't know if you saw the thumbnail.
For me, it's personally influenced by the shellacking I'm getting from your fantasy squad this week.
And then, how many? So only 4 of these guys are rostered in our league right now. It's DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, Jakob the Pirtle Turtle, and Derek White. So I have 2 Spurs. I've been a Spur connoisseur, I guess, in a way. But for fantasy, like the numbers are fun. But Vassell is a free agent, but it's just not. They're too young. They don't have enough veteran leadership. We know, everything's kind of just on.
It's a terrible team.
It's on slow build time right now. But I did want to say, let's just click on.
All right. Okay. If it is a terrible team, DeJounte Murray you could argue he's the best good stats bad team player of all time.
Absolutely,
he's going ape.
He's
shit.
Amazing.
He's ape shit on a bad team.
He's all NBA this year.
You could not argue otherwise, honestly.
No, he's amazing. Triple doubles all over the place.
And he keeps the turnover so low.
0.
He's just
triple double and 0 turnovers.
He was created in the Popovich lab.
That's a quadruple double.
So okay, so Drake, we know this is not a fun team. They do have an outside chance at making the play-in tournament, which doesn't say much. But
come on,
if you're playing Drake, you're playing 2K. How do you make this a contender for next season? I think that's a more fun idea question. Season? Just for next season, yeah. So you got the trade deadline coming up in 3 weeks. How do this season's lost. You might even make the play-in tournament, but you want to prepare for next season.
All these young guys on 2K, I'm able to swindle for future first-round picks. And then when the lottery doesn't go my way, I just package them together and get better picks. And then I sign some free agents. But I only keep probably 1 player, and that's Murray. Everyone else is...
a full blow-up.
Full blowout except Murray. If I want to make the playoffs next year, that's what I got to do.
So I was going to say,
Turtle gets me 2 firsts and a trade exception.
No one's giving you. This isn't not 2K. No one's giving you 2 firsts for Pirtle. They won't even give up 2 firsts for Simmons right now.
I'll get it.
You look at.
Well, in realistic terms, I do think keeping Murray, Keldon Johnson, Vassell together as a core is very interesting. Just a lot of length between those 3 players. And I do like Derek White fits in really well with DeJounte Murray. They're kind of both the floor generals when they're on the court. I've been watching. I try to, whenever ESPN uploads highlights for these guys, I'm trying to watch the Spurs highlights. I don't watch their games. I just watch the highlights. And it seems like those 2 have a very good feel for each other. But it's the Pirtle. It's they need more depth. They really don't have much. I do like Lonnie Walker there as a bench piece. It's a lot of fun. But again, after that, I mean, remember Thaddeus Young? We've had some fun.
Primo was who they took this year, right?
I believe so.
He's
Yeah,
the youngest player in the NBA.
And they have Wieskamp, which was a guy I said was going to be a great European basketball player, and he gets minutes on this team.
He's 6 a game.
He's an Iowa boy, by the way.
He's excited about it.
Yeah, right. He's like,
those are
Wieskamp. I like Wieskamp. I like the kid.
But so as a rotation right now, they have roughly 8 dudes that are getting about 20 minutes. I don't know about Bates, Diop here, but I do like Lonnie Walker. Doug McDermott probably is a guy that could get bounced to a contender before the trade deadline. I don't know if that does anything, but we want to see the Spurs collect something before the trade deadline. John,
I don't know if someone will take on McDermott's contract though. The Spurs
what's he making?
Quite a bit for Dougie.
Yeah, he probably makes like 15 a year.
Yeah, I think it's between like 15 and 18.
Yeah. So this is what you do. You package Dougie with either Vassell or Keldon, whichever one your trade partner likes better, and then maybe you give a pick, and then you turn that into the best, either like the best like kind of big ass wing or like power forward center you can. That's what I would try to get. I feel they need something to fill out their 4 position. Because you got Deontay at point guard, Jakob is fine at center or like coming off the bench at center, and they have a bunch of wings. I like White at 2 guard. White and Walker are fine for the 2 guard. So you keep
I'm thinking of.
I think you get one power forward, one player that plays the 4 in this system. Maybe not necessarily power forward, but just someone who's playing the 4 spot in this system. I think that's a good piece that could really help them out. Like if they could get a Bobby Portis type. Now they're not getting Bobby Portis, but like.
Well, I'm thinking of like a Rashawn Holmes type body.
Sure, a big center would help too. I mean, they could definitely use a little more height.
What if this team went out and they're not winning this year and got Sexton and sent Dougie and Vassell for Sexton.
Okay.
Maybe some other things included.
Sexton?
It could be fun.
Sexton comes back next year healthy with Murray.
My only question to you is, do you think Sexton is more of a 1 guard or a 2 guard?
He's a 2.
Then it's perfect because I love the Deontay Murray with a good shooting guard. So I think it's a great combo. And then you bring Derek White off the bench. That's perfect.
Yep.
Sexton's aggressive too. He's
Derek White is the piece that gets moved. Interesting. I don't know. I want the Spurs to be good again. I think they're a team away. I think thinking of like what John was doing with the 4 or the 5 type player. If I correct me if I'm wrong, but Rashawn Holmes at the Kings, they always play 2 big centers, right? It's either I can't think of his name. Why can't I think of the young guy that they got there? But it was. I just remember being frustrated with Rashawn Holmes because he had to rotate minutes with another big. He's a guy that can slide into the 4 or the 5. So I think that's where you probably want to hit in the lottery with a big man, like a 3, 4, or 5 position for the Spurs. But I think we probably spent more than enough time on the Spurs. Drake,
you're thinking of Bagley.
Bagley, yeah. So yeah. I just know that the Kings
Holmes plays the 4 and Bagley plays the 5.
Right.
They interchange them all the time.
Right. So I just think Kings are always worth a call for a trade at this time of year. So we'll see. And it's sad. Like I would like to see the Kings be good, the Spurs good, of course the Pelicans, the Thunder, the Rockets. I still don't give a crap about, but
the Spurs aren't hurting, Kyle.
Why don't we give the Kings a little peek? We never give them any love.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, for fantasy, they have
Harrison Barnes
2,
is their
3,
lead.
4, 5, 6, 7. For fantasy, they have 7 dudes averaging more than 25 points per game right now. So this is probably a team that we should talk about. And one of these guys right here is widely available in a lot of leagues. I don't know how many. 39.8 points. Holy crap. Okay, so let's take a look here. This is Terrence Davis for the Kings. His last 2 games, 38 and 37 minutes, a 35-point game, a range of 42 points to 53 points. Definitely something to monitor here. I'm not sure whose minutes he's getting. It looks like Tyrese Halliburton has been missing some time here. Let's see. When did Tyrese go on the So this was January 16th. So it's probably another week or so for Tyrese, where Terrence Davis getting the minutes here. Something to be interested in. And then I picked up Marvin Bagley like a week ago just because I saw some uptick in some minutes and some usage here, and he's been playing pretty well the last handful of games. 17 and 9 last night. So
go see who dropped him. Go see who dropped him.
Was it you or is it Uncle John?
Or it was either me or John. I don't remember the timeline.
I think the Kings are probably sellers of Bagley here before the NFL. It was
you.
But
look at mine.
Oh my God!
Oh, by the way, I drafted him. So yeah,
John's
let's go. We are definitely the only Bagley owners in this league.
Oh my goodness!
We've been just swapping that boy. He always has a really good game for me, and then he has that like 11-point game.
Right.
He just missed so much fucking time for me. I couldn't afford him.
There's the 11.
That's where I drafted him.
Yeah. So you had him on the you dropped him
the day before.
On the 8th. You dropped him on the 8th. And so you avoided the 11. Good job.
I avoided the 11.
Yeah.
You got the 23 and then dropped him.
I said, I'm good.
We're good here.
I think I was pulling guys off my IR finally. My team got out of COVID.
What do the Kings do with Bagley? Are they just trying to get him playing minutes and attractive to a buyer before
the Bagley situation makes my mind melt because they started the season with whoever the fuck their coach was, and they were giving him 0 minutes. And I'm pretty sure their coach got canned, and then the new coach, the interim coach, whatever, came in.
You're talking about Luke Walton, man. Put some respect on him.
Yeah, I don't care. He's just the recent in the Kings coaching carousel. There's always another one for me to love and then lose.
Alvin Gentry is their coach now.
Gentry. Well, the two men that deserve some respect on their name for sure. But Gentry is a good coach, but I don't know if it's from ownership or just because he wanted to, but finally Bagley got in the rotation once Gentry started coaching. And then he got COVID, and then I dropped him for the final time. And then Drake flirted with him like 20 times. He probably had 10 different transactions with Marvin Bagley in a 2-month period. And now Kyle currently has him, and he's balling out.
Davion Mitchell's interesting.
Yeah, he's done the last 4 games. He's peaking up here. The points are going up a little bit here. Rebounds, assists, and steals looking good. Someone to just tap on the watch list. We'll see. His last.
That's called playing from behind in the 4th.
Yeah, I've definitely called out Davion in the past, though, for sure. He's awesome. When he gets minutes, he's sick.
How many times have you guys dabbled with
Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
I haven't had Moody, but I've had a lot of Davion. A lot of Bagley.
Oh, so Matt Boehm must watch our show.
Boehmer squeezed in there, but I came back. I
had him in a headlock.
Can I have this dance?
Oh man. But the Kings are a weird team. I want them to be good because I like Tyrese. I think he's a guy that you can be excited about as a Kings fan.
I love those top 3 guys. I love watching Fox and Hield play. Hield has never seen a shot he doesn't like.
My favorite thing about the Kings is they definitely feel like they're going to be one of the most active teams at the trade deadline, and along with that, they also feel like the team that has no idea what they're doing at the trade deadline, which is a fantastic combo. When you're mindless and active is a great combo at the trade deadline, especially for a shitty team. Kings are going to do something fun at the trade deadline. I don't think it's going to help them because they're stupid most of the time, but would love to see them be good. I agree with whoever said Tyrese Halliburton's fun. Would love to see Tyrese go somewhere where he can ball out. I actually am a big proponent of the Tyrese Halliburton in Philadelphia. Like Halliburton, Simmons is kind of like the 2 kind of cornerstones of some sort of deal. I'm actually a big proponent of that idea.
Why don't they move Fox and Halliburton?
Excuse me?
Would they have to move Fox and Halliburton?
To do Simmons?
Yeah, I mean Simmons.
No, you got the Hield deal and the Barnes deal, which are both fatty. So I think if you do Barnes and Halliburton, you get pretty close. I think you could pretty much do Barnes and Halliburton for Simmons. I'm pretty sure
that makes the
within
Sixers
a couple million.
That's a great move for both.
Sixers, I really like that move.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you that I came up with the idea. I heard it on some sort of podcast. potentially Bill Simmons, but regardless, it's an idea that I think is just fantastic.
It is.
I've liked Rashawn Holmes for a long time, and he was a very good fantasy player the last 2 years, and his minutes are down, everything's down, so I'm just confused why Bagley's numbers are up, Holmes' numbers are down. There's a huge discrepancy in the percent rostership here, so I just wonder if they're up to something. Getting ready for the trade deadline, but that's probably more. Oh, Tristan Thompson's still on the Sacramento Kings. Shout out to Tristan Thompson, hasn't played since the 9th of the month, but we salute you, sir. Hope you're having a good one. And I don't know, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. We've kind of covered some of the not so great teams, the Kings and the Spurs. We popped in and took a look at the Mavs, which was fun. John, do you have any other teams that we wanted to highlight and take a peek at?
I was thinking if we don't have other ideas, the Lakers could be fun. But Kyle, I don't think you got to choose. I don't think you got to choose a team. So I'd love for you to pick.
Well, the Lakers were the team that I wanted to choose because one, I have Anthony Davis in fantasy. LeBron James is not playing. I'm curious. I just wanted to see what's going on, and I believe there is some positivity around Anthony Davis coming back soon. So I did want to just read these blurbs real quick. If you have anyone in your league that has Anthony Davis, offer him a trade right now. It sounds like he's going to be evaluated next week. This was on the 14th, which means sometime next week, it's going to be coming back. So he sprained his MCL on the December 17th. It said sidelined for at least a month. So that's putting us right in that sweet spot. Maybe we get him back in the next,
I'd say 3 weeks
or 2.
now. I'd say 3 weeks.
I'm thinking first week of February might be possible, but probably right around the trade deadline. February 10th.
What do you do with this monster, Russell Westbrook?
Hold on, I just wanted to see. So James is fine. He has some day-to-day with an abdomen, whatever that means. Russell Westbrook. What do you mean? What do you do with him?
And what are the Lakers going to do with him?
He's the most confusing player of the last 5 years. And that's in a league with Kyrie Irving. How is that possible?
He doesn't help a good team, but he can get a Wizards team into the playoffs by himself. Same with the Thunder.
I think he's playing with too good of a cast here with LeBron.
I think so too.
His talents kind of get put in the background, and he's not able to be. He's not himself with the Lakers.
Right.
So
he can't have the spotlight on him complaining about him taking any shot he wants. Right. That's Russ. Russ is gonna Russ. Okay. So you either fully accept him, which you really can't on this team, or you sit there and pick at every little thing he does wrong. I don't know. I think this was a terrible move for him to be in LA.
They got 2 weeks to figure out if they want to keep him. So
how do you trade Russ? No one's taking on $45 million. Maybe if you go get John Wall.
But teams have done it in the past. Like Russ has been traded. Russ has had a poison pill untradeable contract for half my life, and he's been traded 5 times in the last 5 years.
What if you send him back to Houston?
For what?
Get John Wall.
Just drop a helicopter into Houston and pull up John Wall, and just Russell comes in on a fucking parachute.
It's the only trade that makes sense in my mind to get. Maybe he goes back to Oklahoma City. They love him there.
I don't know where he fit. I will always think of Russ balling out on a shitty team somewhere. So it does make sense for him to be Russell. He's a
baller.
The best.
He's a great basketball player. I don't want to talk bad about him, but it doesn't work on these good teams.
He is the play-in tournament MVP. That is where he belongs, and then he should make some noise in the first round of the playoffs. But I don't know. We chose the Lakers here. There's not too much for fantasy. Malik Monk had been on a bender. I don't know if you guys saw what was going on here, but his fantasy numbers from Christmas Day on, the minutes are still really, really good. The scoring's been inconsistent, but he's a guy here that I picked up in a couple other leagues. playing some good ball right now. Otherwise, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Talon Horton-Tucker's kind of whatever. Really not. What is their record even? What are the Lakers?
They're bad.
They're flirting around 500 right now. They have the same record as the Timberwolves. So that's where we're at with the Lakers. John, do you have anything positive to paint here for the Lakers?
Well, they're bad and they're only getting worse because their best players are hurt, and Russell Westbrook is having the worst season of his career, besides maybe his rookie year. I don't have much else, but I think the biggest problem with Russ and LeBron is they're just very duplicative, and because they've invested all of their finances of their roster into two guys who kind of sort of do the same thing on the basketball court, it's become much more problematic than expected. So if they could turn Russell into 2 or 3 solid players, they would be in such great shape, but that seems very difficult to do.
Well, I can't remember what was the state of the Lakers before Davis went down? Like, is there hope that Russell maybe is a better player when Davis is on the floor so that he has a big man to work with?
No, they were still pretty average. They've been this all year.
Interesting.
I think they were in the top. I think they were in the top 4.
I think it was a top 5, top 6 team. So not much different, but enough to put them comfortably over 500, I believe. So we'll see what happens.
But I think a lot of those games, LeBron was out too.
Yes.
So you just had Russell and Davis. What do you do with all 3 of them?
You trade LeBron. You get LeBron out of there.
I think in theory it could still work in the playoffs.
This is a scary, scary team to play if they come in as a 7 or 8 seed.
They got a lot of time to figure it out too. Basically they're playing 3-on-5 with 2 shooters.
6 and they're playing the Grizzlies. The Lakers are favored in that series.
Heavyweights. It could be fun. So that's
LeBron
definitely
in the playoffs we know what it is.
Oh, I think if you're in the Western Conference, you want the Lakers have to come through the play-in tournament. Just add on more tread onto those tires. You don't want them. If you're the Utah Jazz, you don't want to play the Lakers as a 5 seed. Anywhere, the Lakers are the 5 or the 6 seed. I think that's juicy for them to succeed and knock off the Grizzlies, like you said, or take on the Jazz, something like that.
I don't know if the Warriors want to play the Lakers.
Last year they got blown out.
In the play-in game.
The Sun. Yeah.
Like I don't think the Warriors would want to match up with the Lakers in the playoffs.
Well, they're gonna eventually toughen up and be a good defensive team when Davis is back. So it's a fun idea to think about. But we have maybe 5 to 8 minutes left in the show. John, did you have any final thoughts on the Lakers? Or
that was what I was going to say. Drake kind of took it, but I think even extrapolated a little further. Not only would no one wants to play the Lakers in the playoffs if they're healthy. A healthy Lakers team, I think, is probably the scariest matchup for just about any of the top seeds. I would much rather play any of the seeds from 5 below than I would the Lakers in round 1. Right. And frankly, the Lakers are a scarier opponent than most teams in round 2 too. So it's they're just a bad matchup. LeBron in the playoffs on his own is a horrible matchup for every basketball team on the planet forever. But Anthony Davis is obviously very good, and I do expect, if they don't blow it up, that I think if they're healthy, Russell will be more of a contributor in the playoffs. I think LeBron, Russell, and AD, if they can play together for a couple games, will have something together that will be useful in the playoffs.
I forgot they had Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah, that's a good piece. Yeah. This team has a lot of centers. Holy crap.
They're 13 players deep here just in the last 7 days of minutes. They need to consolidate some of this. They need to get Kent Bazemore is a good player. Why is he only getting 9 minutes? Like they're spreading out some of these talents a little too thin. I think they need to probably just This was a problem that the Milwaukee Bucks had that I noticed the year that they won the championship. They played it perfectly with their minutes. The year before that, they were going way too deep and just not giving the better players the minutes. So I think that probably needs to happen at some point for the Lakers, where they just turn it on and say, let's not even mess around and get into the top 5.
I think Vogel's kind of on the ropes, and he's trying different stuff.
Seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And again, they've dealt with injuries to LeBron and now AD, so
and
it makes
some
sense
of these
to
guys,
experiment.
they don't want playing a lot.
Right.
30 minutes a game
DeAndre
for
Jordan
Carmelo right now. That's a lot.
Yep. Well, that was just a 1-game sample. I noticed that, but usually he's been playing almost 30 minutes per game though. You look at what he's flirting with the high 20s, so that's interesting. But that's enough Laker talk for tonight. We'll wrap it up here. John, any final thoughts? Anything you're excited to? Any game? There's only a couple games tonight. I don't know.
3 games.
We got the Knicks. We got the Knicks and the Pelicans, whatever. But there's a TNT game on. Let's go watch the Mavericks and the Suns.
That's a great game.
And then
Mavericks Suns. Yeah, should be a very fun game.
And
I'm very excited for the Bulls Bucks game tomorrow.
Okay. Is that in Milwaukee?
I'm not sure. I think that might be, but I'm not sure.
It is in Milwaukee. My sister's got tickets to that game. Actually, she's stopping by tomorrow. So it was cool too. She called me about 2 months ago and said, "Pick a game for me. I need to buy one for her fiance because it was some kind of a gift." And I picked the Bulls over some other teams, and it looks like that's going to be a fun game tomorrow night. But Drake, any final thoughts before we sign out tonight?
I'm looking forward to the 3-game homestand here for the Cavs, and hopefully they can keep grinding. So,
and
it's been fun to be relevant again, guys. I mean, and not past the first week.
Well, this is probably the deepest I've seen the Cavs since LeBron days. Where they're playing, and what's cool too is like they're just getting better at them. Like they're still getting better. They're really not settled in with what they're doing. They're still learning things. They have to figure out how to get Okoro more out of Okoro. I think that's probably the last unlocking for this season. There's no chance Sexton returns this year. Is he completely done? Maybe for the playoff. Like he
could
April?
Return. I shamelessly follow him on Instagram and Twitter, and he's ramped up his workouts, and he's looking like he's trying to get back.
Okay, so maybe April. We'll see.
I think we could see Sexton again this year.
Okay, that's something to be excited about. John, any final thoughts for you, or did I already ask you that?
You did, but it's interesting to hear about the Sexton thing. Like, if Sexton, you say Sexton could come back. I mean, that's a huge shot in the arm for for Cleveland. But like we were just talking about potentially a Sexton for Simmons trade earlier. I'm pretty sure. I mean, what if Philly is like, hey, fuck the regular season. This guy's perfect for us. That could be a really fucking interesting playoff team if Philly's willing to bite the bullet for the next month or however long it takes for him to be playing again.
Drake, you said you like there's videos of him doing live stuff right now?
Yes. He's been doing live shooting. No contact yet, but he's been like doing all the dribbling drills. He's shooting. He's working out the knee. He's doing everything. And I know their videos, but he's going hard. Like his intention is to be back this year.
So that next step would be to get some 3-on-3, some light practicing, and get some physical.
The ideal situation is that they can send him down to the Canton Charge for a month.
You getting tickets?
I will not be going to Ohio in March or April.
In March? It might be nice. I heard it's nice that time of year. I don't know. We can go check out the
you clearly haven't been to Ohio.
No. So. I've driven through. Miserable place.
I had an internship in Canton one summer in college or grad school, and it is an absolutely terrible place. But there are some hidden gems like everywhere in the world, and Football Hall of Fame is actually kind of cool if you haven't been.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll take it on as a fellowship group one of these days, but I think that's gonna do it for tonight's video. We'll try to go live next Tuesday and Thursday. If you guys can't join Thursday or Tuesday, just join me on the other day. We'll be there for sure. And I don't know, enjoy. I want to go watch Dallas and Phoenix tonight. That's going to be a good second half, so we'll heat that up. But have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you for your time. Stay safe and go Pack, go, man. It's
go
NFL
Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
So adios, guys. We'll see you later. Peace.